Hey Cowboys Nation, welcome to your ultimate destination for all things Dallas Cowboys. From the latest news, game analysis, rumors, to deep dives into player performances and strategies, we've got you covered. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a play. Let's dive into everything you need to know about America's team. Ezekiel Elliott, the former Dallas Cowboys star running back, has finally broken his silence, and what he had to say sent shockwaves through the NFL community. After months of speculation about his feelings toward his former team, Zeke has come out swinging. And not just on the field. In a candid and surprisingly raw interview, Elliot didn't hold back. He spoke with emotion, frustration, and what seemed like a deep sense of betrayal, openly criticizing the Cowboys organization. And when we say he detonated the Cowboys, we mean scorched earth style. From the front office to the locker room dynamics, nothing was off limits. He described a culture that, according to him, prioritizes image over loyalty and marketability over true grit. If you thought Zeke was just going to quietly fade into the background after his release, think again. This might be the loudest "I told you so" we've seen in years. What makes this even more fascinating is the timing. Elliott's comments come just as training camps across the league heat up, adding fuel to a fire that was already smoldering in Dallas. Could this be a personal vendetta, or is he exposing a deeper dysfunction within the franchise? And look, let's not pretend like this came out of nowhere. There's been tension brewing beneath the surface for years between Ezekiel Elliott and the Dallas Cowboys. You could feel it every time Jerry Jones stepped up to the mic and danced around questions about Zeke's future. You could read it in the body language, the way Elliott stopped smiling as much on the sidelines, the way he ran powerfully, yes, but with a hint of resentment. When Elliott opened up recently, he made it clear this wasn't just about a team moving on from a veteran running back. This was personal. He mentioned promises that were broken. He mentioned being made into a scapegoat for team failures. According to Elliott, while the front office smiled in front of cameras, they were privately undermining his value, talking down his contract, planting doubts in the media. It paints a picture of a franchise that, while iconic, may be crumbling behind the star-spangled curtain. What's wild is that Elliott didn't name names directly, but he didn't have to. Cowboys fans knew exactly who he was talking about. This wasn't a vague warning, it was a targeted missile. And everyone in Dallas heard it loud and clear. And let's talk about those front office dynamics for a minute. If what Zeke says is true, then we're not just dealing with miscommunication, we're dealing with a culture of backstabbing. Elliott described the Cowboys' leadership as superficial, focused more on optics than actual relationships. He said players often felt like pawns in a billion-dollar brand rather than valued human beings. That's a heavy accusation, especially from someone who was once the face of the franchise. Remember, this is a guy who was drafted 4th overall, carried the team on his back for years, and was once seen as the heartbeat of the offense. And yet, according to him, he was discarded without dignity, replaced without a second thought. What makes these claims even more explosive is that they come at a time when the Cowboys are desperately trying to convince fans and the league that they're serious contenders. Elliott's comments throw a wrench into that narrative. If the locker room is truly fractured and if the players don't trust the front office, how can this team realistically compete? It raises serious questions not just about Dallas Super Bowl hopes, but about the very foundation on which this organization is built. Now, obviously, the Cowboys haven't responded directly to Elliott's statements, at least, not yet. But the silence is almost more telling than a denial would be. It's as if they don't know how to handle this kind of PR wildfire. You've got fans split down the middle, some siding with Zeke, saying it was about time someone told the truth. Others defending the franchise, calling Elliott bitter and past his prime. But here's the thing, Zeke didn't sound bitter. He sounded liberated. There was a sense of calm in his voice, like someone who had carried a burden for too long and finally set it down. He admitted his own flaws, acknowledged that his play had declined slightly in recent years, but he pushed back hard against the idea that he had become expendable. And maybe that's the heart of this entire story. A star who gave his all, who bled for the star on his helmet, only to feel tossed aside like a used jersey. Whether you love him or hate him, Ezekiel Elliott's voice carries weight. And the things he's saying could have lasting repercussions not just in Dallas, but across the entire NFL landscape. Dig a little deeper and you start to see a pattern. Elliott isn't the first former Cowboy to speak out against the organization. In fact, over the last few years, we've seen more and more ex-players hint at similar frustrations, a lack of transparency, favoritism from the top brass, and an obsession with media narratives over actual performance. Zeke's voice, however, is the loudest. It's amplified by his stature, his history with the team, and the timing of his remarks. He didn't just blow off steam, he dropped a manifesto. He talked about players being encouraged to smile for the cameras, while privately dealing with injuries that were never fully acknowledged. He described team meetings, where decisions were made without player input, where trust was eroded slowly over time, and perhaps most damning of all, he suggested that there was a silent hierarchy where only a few voices actually mattered, and his wasn't one of them, not anymore. If you're a Cowboys fan, that has to sting. If you're a player still on the roster, you're probably wondering, is this the reality I'm living into? Or is Zeke just bitter because his time was up? Either way, the NFL is watching closely. Teams around the league are undoubtedly paying attention to Elliott's words, not just because of the drama, but because of what it says about how the Cowboys operate. If a team that prides itself on being America's team is being accused of internal dysfunction and player mistreatment, that's going to have ripple effects. Think about future free agents. Will they be hesitant to sign with Dallas after hearing Zeke's perspective? Will agents begin to advise their clients to approach Jerry Jones and company with caution? These aren't minor accusations. Elliot was effectively questioning the integrity of one of the most storied franchises in football. He didn't just air dirty laundry, he set the whole closet on fire. And while some will call this unprofessional, others see it as courageous. In an age where players are increasingly finding their voice, Elliot may have just sparked a new wave of honesty in the league. Whether that leads to change or just more controversy remains to be seen, but one thing's for sure, this story isn't going away. It's only getting louder, and the echoes are being heard far beyond Texas. The irony in all of this is that Ezekiel Elliott still holds deep love for the game and for the fans. That came through in every word he spoke. He wasn't trying to burn bridges with the fan base. In fact, he thanked them for their unwavering support over the years, saying they were the only constant in an otherwise unpredictable journey. But he made it crystal clear that his issues were with the people in charge, the decision makers, the ones who wear suits, not helmets. And that distinction is important. He's not attacking Dak Prescott or CeeDee Lamb or Micah Parsons. He's not pointing fingers at his teammates. If anything, his words were a warning to them. Be careful. Watch your back. Don't assume loyalty means security. That message resonates not just in Dallas, but across every NFL locker room. Players know the league is a business, but Elliott's story brings the emotional cost of that business into sharp focus. You can give everything and still be shown the door without a proper goodbye. That's the reality Zeke says he faced. And if he's telling the truth, then the Cowboys have some serious soul-searching to do. We also have to consider what this means for Ezekiel Elliott's career moving forward. With this interview, he's rebranded himself not just as a running back, but as a truth teller, a disruptor. That's risky. NFL teams don't always love players who speak out, especially when they do it publicly. But Elliott seems unbothered. He said he's not worried about the next contract. He's more interested in playing for a team that values character and culture as much as talent. That's a bold statement, and one that could either open new doors or slam them shut, but maybe that's the point. Maybe Zeke isn't playing the political game anymore. Maybe he's trying to change the conversation, shift the balance of power even slightly back toward the players. If that's the case, he's not just playing football anymore. He's waging a campaign. And for better or worse, that makes him one of the most interesting figures in the sport right now. He's no longer just a highlight reel machine or fantasy football star. He's a voice, a rebel. And that makes everything he says and does worth paying attention to. Even his critics have to admit, Zeke's not afraid to speak his truth. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. One can't help but wonder what Jerry Jones is thinking right now. The Cowboys owner has never been shy about speaking his mind. But in the face of Elliott's revelations, he's gone unusually quiet. That silence is deafening. Historically, Jones has defended the franchise's image with the ferocity of a gladiator. But this time, maybe he knows a public rebuttal would only escalate the storm. Or maybe just maybe he knows there's truth in what Zeke is saying. It's possible that behind closed doors, there's a real conversation happening in the upper levels of AT&T Stadium about culture, loyalty, and how they treat their stars. Because let's be honest, if this is how they parted ways with a player who gave them his prime years, what does that say to the next generation of Cowboys? If you're a young player just entering the league, how do you hear Elliott's words and still trust the system blindly? Zeke may have done more than tell his story. He might have planted a seed of doubt in the minds of every current and future Cowboy, and once that seed takes root, no amount of branding or speeches can stop it from growing. That's the real danger here. But let's not forget, the NFL is built on narratives, and no franchise relies more on myth-making than the Dallas Cowboys. This is the team of Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, the team that defines football's glitz and glamour, and yet, behind all that shine, Ezekiel Elliott is painting a picture of shadows. It's a jarring contrast. For years, Zeke was one of the faces propping up that mythology. He danced in end zones, starred in primetime games, and represented everything Cowboys meant to millions of fans. So when he starts pulling back the curtain, it hits different. It's not some random ex-player taking cheap shots. This is a guy who bled silver and blue. And maybe that's what makes his words so powerful, because they're coming from someone who wanted to believe in the dream, someone who wanted to stay, and now he's saying that dream is broken. That's a storyline too big to ignore if you love drama, intrigue, and NFL politics. This is Shakespeare on turf. And whether you believe Zeke or not, you have to admit, something's not adding up in Dallas. The question now is, who else will speak up and when? And here's the thing no one's talking about yet. What if Ezekiel Elliott isn't done? What if this interview was just the beginning? He's clearly got more to say. And now that he's opened the door, it's hard to imagine him just closing it again. There are already whispers in media circles that he's working on a tell-all documentary, or maybe even a podcast series, where he'll break down exactly what went wrong inside the Cowboys facility. Can you imagine the fallout if that happens? Weekly episodes detailing behind-the-scenes decisions, untold locker room stories, and off-the-record conversations with coaches and teammates. That could completely reshape how we view not only the Cowboys, but the NFL as a whole. It could give fans an unprecedented look at what really happens beyond the sidelines. And for players who've always felt voiceless, Zeke could become a symbol, a trailblazer. Sure, there's risk involved. He might burn bridges, close doors. But if his mission now is truth, not trophies, then he's already winning in a whole new way. Because once you speak out like this, you don't go back. You double down. And if Zeke does that, buckle up, because the NFL won't know what hit it. So where does this all go from here? That's the million-dollar question. Will the Cowboys issue a carefully worded statement? Will current players chime in, supporting or refuting Zeke's claims? Or will this become one of those rare NFL moments that actually leads to introspection and change? Honestly, it's hard to tell. What we do know is this: Ezekiel Elliott has shifted the narrative. He's taken control of his own story in a league where stories are often written by others. And in doing so, he's exposed the fragile nature of trust between player and team. For Cowboys fans, this might feel like betrayal, but it's actually a plea to look deeper, to ask harder questions, to stop accepting the spin and start demanding accountability. Love him or hate him, Zeke has forced the spotlight off the field and onto the front office. And that's not something you see every day in pro football. So as the season approaches, all eyes are on Dallas, but not just for touchdowns or highlight plays. No, this year, the drama might be even bigger than the game itself. And Ezekiel Elliott, he's not just part of the story anymore. He is the story. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.